All right, I'm taking this clip, obviously, from News One Now, Roland Martin show regarding Philando Castile. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. These, and I'm sorry, because I know some language is offensive, but in my mind, there's a time and place for the use of certain language. And this is the time, and in my opinion, this is the place, because I'm making a video. If you don't like it, just turn off the video and go check out something else. Now, these motherfuckers are trying to smear Mr. Castile. They are trying every way under the goddamn sun to make him an armed robbery suspect. No, fuck that. They're trying every way under the sun to link him to an armed robbery, when we know goddamn well that's not the case. The audio came out from the police. Now, everybody's saying that it hasn't been independently confirmed. Bullshit. The cops are not saying that that audio is wrong. They're just not willing to confirm it. Now, there were pictures that were released of an armed robber of a convenience store that was located not too far away from this man was killed. There were two pictures put out, and you cannot even see the robber's goddamn nose. You can't see it. You know he's a black man, you know he's got dreads, but he's got sunglasses and you can't see his goddamn nose, okay? Now the police are going through Mr. Castile's Facebook page, and they saw a pair of sneakers that they are gonna try to match to the sneakers worn by that damn robber. That is fucking bullshit. There have also been stories out here that he didn't really have a concealed carry permit. There were two stories done on that in the Minneapolis newspapers. I read them myself. They claimed that they went to the chief of police in the town that he now lives in, and that police officer said that he was unaware of any request for a concealed carry permit made by Mr. Castile. Okay. And that portion is in fact true. Do you know why? Because Mr. Castile has had his concealed carry permit for so long that, and let me back up. Mr. Castile has not just lived in that one town. He's lived in prior towns, and he's had his permit for so long because he got the permit from a prior town that he lived in. And you know damn well that if he didn't have a permit, they would have gone back to every place he lived, because they know how obtaining a concealed carry permit works. They would have, and I'm sure, guess what, that they did go back to every town that he lived in and inquired with the chief of police in those particular towns. And when they came across the police chief that went through his records and found that permit, all of a sudden that narrative ended as far as him not having a concealed carry permit. But the rat bastards wouldn't even come out after they found the fact that he had a concealed carry permit and publish it for the general public. So now they're trying to vilify a man that was killed doing the right goddamn thing. They're not gonna cover this shit up. That cop is gonna get his, the family is gonna sue, and the attorney, who you're going to see here, says she's going to court. She's not talking about settling. She's talking about going to court and beating their ass in court. And I absolutely agree with her. because this shit's got to stop. Now here's the clip from Roland Martin, and I make it a little emotional when they come to the point of the concealed carry permit.
It is my privilege to represent them in what I believe has to be a move so that we, not only in this community, but as a nation, move to higher ground. I am going to see them in court, and trust me and believe we will be well prepared.
That was Judge Glenda Hatchett announcing that she is representing the family of Philando Castile. Judge Hatchett made the announcement yesterday at the Minnesota State Capitol in St. Paul with Castile's mother by her side. She's expected to file a civil lawsuit in connection to the police-involved shooting death of 32-year-old Castile. His final moments were captured by his girlfriend, who live-streamed the moments on Facebook Live, and that, of course, quickly went viral. The police officer who killed Castile has been identified as Geronimo Yanez. He has served on the force for 4 years and is currently on administrative leave. As I said, syndicated to television Judge Glenda Hatchett, representing the Castile family. She joins us right now via Skype from St. Paul, Minnesota, in this exclusive interview. Judge Hatchett, glad to have you back on TV One.
Thank you very much, Roland. And thank you for bringing attention to what I think is an important issue.
This is obviously a case that so many folks are following, and already you have the recording that came out from the police that said that the cop stopped him because he said his nose was similar to that of a burglary suspect.
Yes, let me also say that I have not been able to authenticate that audio. The police department says that they have not released it. Let's assume for a moment that that is the tape. I have a broad nose. So many African Americans have a broad nose. You think about the number of black men that we know, and I am just troubled by this case for so many reasons. But as I said yesterday, we will see them in court. We will absolutely see them in court on this issue. But it goes to a broader issue, Roland, that you and I know too well. What is going on about profiling? A description about a broad nose would be as ludicrous to stop every white woman who had blonde hair. I mean, come on.
Okay. Now, I don't know how this cop came across Mr. Castile. But if the cop was sitting there and the car drove past, and let's just make it a little easier. Let's say he was sitting on the opposite side of the road, okay, and the car drove past so that he would have a clear view of the driver's side of the car. He saw that this man had a broad nose, not from a frontal view, but from a side view. He saw that he had a broad nose. Let me ask you a question. You can't tell somebody's got a broad nose if you behind them. And unless you up close and personal, and I'm talking about within 5 or 6 feet, in the daytime, and this didn't occur during the daytime, this occurred at night, just so that you know. You're not going to be able to tell if somebody got a broad nose. You'll be able to see their head, the shape of their head, etc. But it's dark out there. Probably got the windows up with the air conditioner going because it's hot, and you're going to be able to see if somebody got a broad nose. The only way you're going to be able to see if somebody got a broad nose if you basically got a head-on view of them. So I think that the fact that he made up that broad nose, he just made that bullshit up to stop this guy. Why do I say that? This man has been consistently stopped by the police over the years. He has $6,500 worth of traffic tickets and fines that he paid. Who the hell do you know that's got $6,500 worth of traffic tickets and fines, okay, over, let's say it's a 3-year or 5-year period, that doesn't have their license suspended? Who can drive with that kind of heat on them? It ain't that many. So the cops basically were targeting this guy. They had been targeting him for years. They've gone through his record. Other than these tickets and traffic citations, he has an absolutely clean record. They can't come up with anything else on this man. And to have that number of tickets and fines that he's paid for, he was driving with a fully legit license. That tells me that they targeted this guy. They were profiling this guy, and every chance they got, they were stopping this guy and trying to cite him for something. Now, you recall the original story was he was stopped because of a broken tail light. Well, that came out to be bullshit. There was no broken tail light. So now the reason they gave for stopping him was a lie. Now they're trying to come up with something else, which was he was, quote unquote, a robbery, an armed robbery suspect. That's a lie. So after all of that gets all washed out, what's going to be left? They were profiling this guy, they targeted this guy, and they killed this guy. And all hell should break loose because there's a heavy price that needs to be paid on this one. All right, let me continue with this. I'm ranting, so I just apologize. I'm ranting. But this one, in my opinion, was even worse than John Crawford getting killed in Walmart.
So what's interesting about this is that you also have folks saying, well, that they're trying to match shoes that Castile had with on a photo on his Facebook page with images from this particular burglary, and you're seeing.
See, and that's bullshit itself. So you're trying to say that there was only one pair of whatever these shoes are, and because a burglary suspect and Mr. Castile, let's say it's the same type of shoe. How can you justify even trying to go there? You act like this is the only shoe in that style ever made in order to try to tie people together. They will do anything to sully the reputation of a legitimate, honest, law-abiding black man. We've seen it before, we're going to see it again. They'll go in and try to dig out the history of a person, and if there's nothing on him, then they'll go into the family and try to dig out history on them. And in this particular case, they lose because he's a stand-up, straight-out guy with no issues. The mother and the father are stand-up, straight-out people with no issues. The sister, she got a concealed carry as well, so you know that she's clear. So fuck them. They are going to lose. They've already lost. And they're doing everything that they can in order to try to pull the wool over people's eyes as to how fucked up this system is.
You see all of this now come out, but even if a police officer suspected that he was a burglary suspect, he also had a concealed handgun weapon. Have you seen his actual concealed handgun permit?
I have.
I told you he had a concealed handgun permit.
Actually seen the permit. He had a permit to carry a weapon. That was a lawful a weapon that he had. And according to his girlfriend, that was fully disclosed at the stop. He was reaching, Roland. He was reaching in compliance with getting documentation when he was shot. This is outrageous and it needs to stop.
Where the fuck is the NRA? Those motherfuckers issued a statement. They wanted to wait for all of the facts to be discovered. Well, God damn it, he had a permit, his weapon was legal, he wasn't a fucking burglar, he was complying, so where the fuck are you guys now? You're not gonna hear shit from the NRA because they don't believe in the rights of black people to own and carry weapons. They just believe in And again, let me preface that. The leadership of the NRA don't believe that black people should own and carry weapons. They don't believe that they should have concealed gun permits. Their members, on the other hand, do believe that black people have the right to own and carry weapons and have concealed handgun permits. Their white members forced them to give a bullshit generalized statement about waiting for the facts because their white members believed that it was an outrage and asked them, the leadership of the NRA, why they had issued a statement because that man had a legal weapon and should have been protected under the Second Amendment. So fuck the NRA too. The leadership, not the members.
What jumps out at us also is that you have folks who are expecting Philando Castile's mother to offer forgiveness, if you will, to the police officer involved in this case. And we've seen this in other cases as well. I raised it yesterday, after Charleston, we saw the exact same thing. What do you make of asking African Americans to immediately offer forgiveness when they're still in mourning for the deaths of their sons and daughters?
Fuck that. You gonna forgive a man who killed your kid? No, How many white people get on mainstream media and forgive a black person for killing their loved one? If you can find one, you may be lucky. You damn sure ain't gonna find two. And I gotta be honest with you, those people that were down there in South Carolina that basically forgave Dylan Roof, I'm not feeling that. Now, I recognize that God works in mysterious ways, and because they did that, that basically led to the removal of the Confederate flag from the South Carolina Capitol. So again, God works in mysterious ways, and honestly, I'm going to tell you, I couldn't have done it. I could not have done it. If somebody had killed my loved one and they had asked me to forgive that person, I would have been more likely to have pulled my gun and shot that motherfucker than saying I forgive him. But that being said, and God knows that he doesn't need to put me in that situation because, my heart is my heart, but grief is grief, and grief will make you do, grief will make you do some things that you wouldn't do if you were rational and had a chance to think.
I don't think it's fair. I think that Ms. Castile has been a model of strength and determination and grace. I am Roland, I didn't even have the words to put around my admiration for this woman. And I'll tell you very quickly, when I walked into her home, I didn't go in as Judge Hatchett. I went as one black mama to another and just held her. And so for her to be criticized for not immediately offering forgiveness, I think she has to do what she has to do in her own time and in her own way.
So you're going to file a civil lawsuit. Exactly when is that going to take place?
I don't know yet. You know me, I'm going to be very, very diligent and do my due diligence on this case, but I will be very transparent with you and all of the media when this is done, and you will get copies. Of course, it will be public record, but I'm going to take my time to make sure that we have done everything correctly. I am determined, Roland, I am determined to do everything I can, and as I've said several times, I count it a privilege to be representing this family. I talked about this being the last time. This is a man, and I just want to remind all of us this morning, this is a man who was doing everything right. He had a job. He loved his family. He was beloved by, the outpouring of love and support for this man in his community has been amazing. And he had a permit. This was not a man who was fleeing the scenes. He was not combative with the police. He was complying this time. Those are the things that we know emphatically. is the last time, because we can't continue to do this. And you can't continue to say, well, but for this man was compliant, his seatbelt was still on, and yet he is dead. And so I'm going to do everything in my power to bring justice in this matter, but also to raise our level of consciousness in this country and to bring attention. We don't want Philando's death to be just another statistic. We want there to be systemic reform as we go forward. We've got to move from the rhetoric to the reality of how we do this differently.
All right, Judge Linda Hatchett, we really appreciate you joining us for this exclusive interview. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Will, and I appreciate you.
All right, I'm going to kill this right here. I hate long videos. I'm going to make a separate video on his panel's response to the latest facts in the Castile case. Here's his panel's reaction to the latest information on the Philando Castile murder by police.
Folks, we'll go to our panel right now. Monique Presley, legal analyst and attorney for the Presley firm. Sir Michael Singleton, Republican political consultant for Singleton Strategies, LLC. Tiffany Lofton, former USSA president, also campaign strategist. To all three of you, again, already you are seeing this effort to sort of paint a different story of Philando Castile. With that recording, I gotta get your take on that recording of the officer literally saying he looked like the suspect in a burglary because of his wide brim nose.
I can start, Roland. I think so. First of all, let's say congratulations to Judge Hatchett. I think that it's really important and hopefully serves as a role model for other young people across the country who are looking to find other ways to get involved in civil justice and social rights in the movement that's taking place. We need people in all areas to be agents in making sure this fight is seen and done justice. And I know that we have I personally am very saddened to know that this is not going to turn out the way that we always want it to, and so I'm hoping that this case actually is one of those things that proves me wrong. So shout out to Judge Hatchett. But around the comment for the taping, if it is exactly what he might have said, I mean, I have a wide nose, and it is hard and difficult to think about the history of America and how we profile certain communities of color, and there are certain stigmas and certain racist, really, identities that people put on different people of color. And I think that if we continue to do that, it's not going to help our conversation and our narrative around making sure that all of us are equal and that all people in the country are actually seen as people as one whole equal. And that's not the case.
So the most important thing that I think that Judge Hatchett said is you can do everything right and still end up dead. This is one of those specific examples. So all of the work that we're doing is necessary, where we're training African American males, recognizing that they are at higher risk than every other single combination of race and sex of a human being in the United States, to end up touched, to end up pushed, to end up illegally or unlawfully stopped, frisked, shot, killed. So we're telling people the right things, but even if they do all of those things right, it can still go terribly wrong, and this is one of those instances. Where do we go from here? What do the reforms look like? We have a police officer who's on administrative leave. It should be administrative leave without pay, because if a state does that, then it signals to police departments that you're not going to get away with it and get what they call a vacation away from work after having a problem with a shoot or with an unlawful stop. The second thing, sure, the civil cases may go well. They normally do. They end up settling. The one family gets a good judgment. But what about the reforms that stop it from happening again? This will be a congratulations for a family on winning money from the government when they have no son. They have no father for their children. They have a loss that can't be filled with money. So the reforms have to, at this point, look like something that deters the conduct. It can't be just that after the fact we keep coming behind and doing what Judge Hatchett is rightfully doing and filing suit. There has to be more to it than that.
Now I want to go to
All right, so that's their commentary on that. Now, I didn't have a problem with commentary. The only thing I had a problem with is Sir Michael Singleton should have been the first one out there opening up his mouth and making his viewpoints known. So, brother, you got to be an alpha male. You got to be a leader, in these things. And, that's just my take on it. I calmed down from that first video I did with the attorney making her comments. Let me preface that by saying, instead of making 2 separate videos, I'm just going to combine them into one. It's only going to be about 24, 25 minutes.